Welcome everyone to the Torah studies, and we're learning with this week Parshas Nitzavim-Vayeilech. This Shabbos is called also Shabbos Slichos, a very special Shabbos. We're getting ready for the Slichos. We're starting Saturday night. Of course, our Sephardic brothers and sisters started already in the beginning of the month of Elul. Ashkenazi Jews join Motzei Shabbos to ask forgiveness from Hashem and to get ready for a good year, a blessed year, and a tzlachadig year, a peaceful year, a year of Mashiach. And today the topic we're discussing about the very last mitzvah in the Torah. It is a mitzvah of writing the Torah. God tells us about writing a Sefer Torah, a mitzvah to write a Torah. We're going to talk about it. What does it mean? It's a mitzvah said everyone to write a Torah. And we'll see how this is a mitzvah that makes us be part of the community. You know, sometimes we join a community, we feel that you join different groups. Today we have all kinds of groups. But to feel that you're really special, that you have an importance in that group, the Sefer Torah teaches us how each and every Jew is really important part of the community, an important part of the Torah. So, we're talking about the very last mitzvah in the Torah, as we said. God commands Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu tells it to the Jewish people, this is the very last day that Moshe Rabbeinu teaches the people about the mitzvah of writing the Torah. The writing the Torah, there's a mitzvah, everyone should write the Torah. Let's see it inside, what the Torah says. And now write for yourself this song, and teach it to the children of Israel. Place it into their mouths, in order that this song will be for me as a witness for the children of Israel. Now it talks about a song, but we know the song here refers to the Torah. We find the Torah is referred to as a song, as here we find from the Ralbag, gives us the understanding, which is quoted in all the other sources as well. The song refers to the Torah. Says the Ralbag, it's clear that the song here means, excuse me for this, 1 second, here. It is clear that the song here means that in the entire Torah, as the verse states just below, and it was when Moses finished writing the words of this Torah in a scroll. And until their very completion. This indicates that this song includes the entire Torah with the song of Ha'azinu. That's next week's Torah portion. Further indication that it's the entire Torah is the verse that it says, take this Torah scroll and place it alongside the Ark of the Covenant of God. And indeed, the Maimonides writes what this mitzvah, what does it mean practically to us? It says the Maimonides, it is practical, a mitzvah that we must write a Torah. Every Jew must write a Sefer Torah. Let's see what the Maimonides writes. Here Maimonides, in the Sefer Mitzvahs, the positive mitzvah 18, he says, God commanded that everyone should write a Torah scroll for themselves. And if they write it with their hand, Scripture credits it to them as if they received it at Mount Sinai. But if it is impossible for them to write it, they should buy it or hire someone to write it for them. This is the meaning of the verse, write for yourselves this song. Okay? So you see that Maimonides right away qualifies the scope of this mitzvah, allowing for one to commission a professional scribe. Obviously, to write a Sefer Torah, not everyone can write it. That's a big, big job. Not everyone can write a Torah. You have to be a professional. You have to know how to do it. It takes, for a professional scribe, it takes a whole year to write a Sefer Torah. But the obvious question is, how come we don't do it? We don't find that this is something that is done. You know, what is interesting, even in the desert, in the last days, Moshe Rabbeinu commanded them to write the Torah. Okay? And imagine, Moshe Rabbeinu tells it to the people there. You're talking about close to 3 million people? I mean, including, you have adults 20 and up, or 600,000 and so on. So, a commandment that everyone has to write a Torah? So you want to tell me that 600,000 people, or whatever amount of people in the desert, each one wrote a Torah? Not only that, they had to write it in a period before they enter Israel. And from the day Moshe Rabbeinu died till they entered Israel didn't take so long. It was about a month. So even if they all were capable of writing, if they had the parchment in the desert, if they have the ink in the desert, even if that was the case, is it possible to write a Torah for them? Does it make sense that they wrote this Torah? And besides, if it was done, shouldn't we hear the story somewhere recorded of this event that you had 1 million Jews or 2 million Jews where they all wrote their own Torahs? We don't find it. What we do find is that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Torah. And the last day he finished writing the Torah. Let's see inside. Yeah, so this is the question. Historically, the Jewish community has not carried out this mitzvah of personal writing a Torah scroll. Why not? And keep in mind, we're talking about the Jewish people, leaders, righteous people, who are very careful of observing every single mitzvah of the Torah. And even if it may be very expensive, in today's day, it's about $60,000 to write a Sefer Torah, but that never stopped Jews from performing a mitzvah. They wouldn't make even one single mitzvah to miss one single mitzvah. And we don't find that this was done. So, after Moshe Rabbeinu commanded the Jewish people to write the Torah, what does it say? That Moshe went and wrote the Torah. And Moses wrote this song on that day, and he taught it to the children of Israel. So this is the question, basically. Why not? Why, upon the first receiving the mitzvah of writing a Torah scroll, didn't the people carry it out? The Jewish people. They didn't write the Torah. Right then, Moshe Rabbeinu is standing in front of them, telling them to write the Torah, and they're not doing it. Why not? So to answer, we'll eventually see we will see that the answer lies why we don't write the Torah. Because we have a communal Sefer Torah. Every synagogue has a community Torah. And this, in fact, is a mitzvah. It's an obligation. Every Jewish community must have a synagogue. They must have a Sefer Torah. The Torah should be in every synagogue to be able to write. This is from the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, as it says, the town's inhabitants can compel one another to build a synagogue, and purchase a Torah scroll along the other scriptures so that anyone from the community can come and read from it. So, according to many authorities, this law provides the simplest and most straightforward answer, that the reason why people, individuals, including great rabbis, they don't do this mitzvah is because they rely on the fact that there is a communal Sefer Torah. And the communal Torah is for everyone. What does it mean? How does it work? How does this fulfill the mitzvah of individual writing the Torah? That needs to be explained. So first of all, this is the answer. The community purchases a communal Torah scroll, and with that, every individual member fulfills their mitzvah. So here comes from the Nefesh Chaya, Rabbi Chaim Elazar Wax. He writes as follows: I would suggest that when the community or any other group commissions a Torah scroll to be written on their behalf, that constitutes fulfilling the mitzvah of, and now write for yourselves. Writing the scroll and then reading from it, it is a legitimate form of carrying out this mitzvah. So that's the idea. You have to write the Torah and read from it. And that's what you do. You write the Sefer Torah, the community writes the Torah, and you read. You're being called up to the Torah. You're getting al aliyah, which, by the way, that is why it's so important to get the aliyah, to be called up to the Torah. That is also part of participating in this mitzvah. So this is clear. This is the clear solution in my mind to justify the long-standing tradition. By commissioning a scroll for the community, they fulfill this mitzvah. However, the question can be asked, is if this is a mitzvah of an individual, how does writing a communal Torah fulfill the mitzvah of the individual? The Torah says clearly, specifically, that the individual, ve'atem kisvu lachem, you should write a Torah. So it means that the mitzvah on each person. So when you're saying lachem, although lachem is plural, but lachem is like telling a group of people, you must write a Torah. That means that every individual has to write it. So the Rebbe talks about it, and he builds the whole layers upon layers of explanations. And one of the examples he gives, he compares it to the mitzvah that we're going to do soon, the mitzvah of shaking the lulav and the esrog on Sukkot. So there the Torah says a similar thing, just like there, but the Torah, by the writing the Torah says, "Va'atem kisvu lachem," and you should write for yourselves. Here, the Torah also, regarding the mitzvah of taking the lulav and the esrog, the Torah also says, "Ulekachtem lachem bayom harishon." You should take for yourselves on the very first day. Talking about the Sukkot. So it says, "And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruits of the hadar tree, date palm fronds, pri etz hadar, kapot marim, date palm fronds," that refers to the lulav, a branch of a braided tree, which is the myrtle branch, and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before God for a 7-day period. So here the Torah says, makes it clear that the mitzvah of lulav and esrog, every individual must take their own, lekachtem lachem, take for yourselves. So today, Baruch Hashem, we have just like you go into the supermarket, there's so many fruits available. Everything is available today. With this world economy, everything becomes available. You ship from one place to another place. But for many millennia, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years, it wasn't always easy to find the esrog, especially the esrog, the citrus fruit. That was a very difficult thing, especially in cold countries like in Eastern Europe. It was very difficult to get one. It was very difficult to get, and there was a very common thing back then that they used to have a communal esrog, a communal lulav and esrog, and everyone participated in it. The community had to purchase this lulav and esrog, and everyone would make the bracha. How could you make a bracha on this? And the answer is because they purchased it with intention that it should be every person who receives or holds that esrog, and when it gets his turn, it will be considered his. Everyone agreed to it, that it should be done according to the way that the Torah requires us to do it. So since the Torah requires that we should have our own, so by purchasing the esrog together, everyone participates in it, and everyone agrees that this should be done, that when a person takes the lulav and esrog in his hand, it should be considered his. So, though the verse states that it must be for you, the community purchases one esrog in a way that enables everyone to legally use it. And this is what the Rashba says, the Rashbam, and says as follows: our custom is for every community to make the blessing over one esrog, as every community member agrees to gift their portion of ownership in the esrog to the individual on condition that it's returned. Which, by the way, today also sometimes, we go on Mivtzoyim, we go out on Sukkot, the first day after we have our own esrog, we go to greet other Jews who are not yet observing the mitzvahs, and we want to have them to do the mitzvah as well. So on the first day, it is important that to have in mind and to tell the people that we give them the lulav and esrog as a gift in condition that they return it. That means that if they return it, retroactively the gift was gifted. If they don't return it, it's considered a gift. So this way, when they hold it and then return it, then retroactively, when they held it and did the mitzvah, it was their own, it was gifted to them. So in any case, says the Rashbam, that this is when the people have a community esrog, that's what they have in mind. So even if they don't explicitly stipulate as such, we consider it as if they did. After all, the entire community would certainly be of one mind to grant conditional ownership to each member so they can make the blessing. This is also stated in Shulchan Aruch, also similar, something similar. The prevalent custom today, in a situation where there aren't many esrogim available, is that the community purchases one communal esrog. The logic is that inasmuch as the community wishes to fulfill their obligation with this esrog, it's as if they have clearly stipulated that each member conditionally grants their partial ownership to anyone who wishes to fulfill the mitzvah. So the Rebbe applies the same thing to our case. That in our case also, Rebbe explains, when we're talking about the mitzvah that each individual to write the Torah, says the Rebbe, that when the community, there is an obligation to the community to write a Torah, to have a Torah. When the community actually writes the Torah, this is as if it was stipulated that this Torah is written on behalf of every individual. And moreover, and the individual, so by being part of the community itself, you already have part of the Torah, and the individual, especially when it comes to the synagogue, and he holds the Torah, and being called up to the Torah, and he reads from the Torah, or the Baal Koirah reads for him, and he looks inside. The studying from the Torah, that brings that mitzvah that he has a Torah. So when you have the Torah and you make the bracha, you're actually having and claiming ownership on the Torah. This is your moment. This is your ownership when you read the Torah. That's why it's important to come to synagogue, to get an aliyah. Matter of fact, in Simchas Torah, they make sure that each and every individual in the synagogue is being called up to the Torah. Okay, so that's what it is. Every time the Torah scroll is taken out of the community, and the community reads from it, each member is granted their individual moment of ownership, for he or she is personally reading, listening to, and studying it, and studying from it. Then, well, he or she, obviously, we're having over here. We're not talking about the Orthodox synagogue. We have the man doing it, but the man also, of course, has the mitzvah done for the women themselves also. So just like many other mitzvahs that the husband is including in his mitzvah, is including the wife also. But in any case, this is the key over here. Now, that back to the desert. So this explanation that the behavior of the generation in the desert who received this mitzvah, we asked, why did they not fulfill the mitzvah? Moshe Rabbeinu tells them about write a Sefer Torah. So as far as the generation in the desert was concerned, Moshe carried out the mitzvah on their behalf as their communal representative. That's exactly what happened there. Moshe Rabbeinu writes the Torah, and he had in mind this would be for the Jewish people. In fact, it says the Medrash tells us that he wrote not one Torah, but he actually wrote 13 Torahs on that day, meaning he completed 13 Torahs on the day that he passed. So he gave 12 to each tribe. Each tribe received the Torah from Moses, and the 13th Torah was placed in the ark. This is a Medrash in Devarim. The Medrash Rabbah says, Rabbi Yana said, on that day Moses wrote 13 Torah scrolls, one for each tribe, and another to stow away in the holy ark. And that is the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu doing this on behalf of the Jewish people. And indeed, Or Sameach writes that this is so. Or Sameach, Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, he writes as follows: a plain reading of the verse virtually shouts that immediately after God commanded it to transcribe this song and teach it to his children, Moses immediately carried out, and Moses wrote this song and taught it. We clearly see that by writing 13 Torah scrolls on the day he died, Moses carried out the mitzvah of write for yourself this song. Now, our sages derived from this verse that every individual must write a Torah scroll. However, the verse shouts at us that Moses carried it out for everyone with his own transcriptions. So that is the answer. That is the answer. That this is why we don't see great rabbis who do all the mitzvahs. We don't find that they would go out of the way of writing their own Torah. Now, it doesn't take away from the fact that we know people have They love to do this mitzvah, and many people do this mitzvah. They donated Torah for the family, which is, you find that's beautiful. It's amazing. And of course, doing the mitzvah by yourself, you're doing it much greater in a much greater way. But the actual mitzvah is fulfilled by the very fact that we have a communal Torah. Every community has a Torah. Having said that, we go now to the next step. The next thing, what happened? We know the Rebbe in 1981. In 1981, I remember the Rebbe came out. This was Yud Aleph Nissen. Yud Aleph Nissen, the Rebbe came out with a new campaign. And the Rebbe says they should write to a Torah, especially for children under Bar Mitzvah, that every child, the parents should buy for every child under Bar Mitzvah a letter in the Torah. And this way, all Jewish children, boys and girls, should be united in writing a Torah together. They should be the Torah will unite them. Everyone purchases a letter, one letter. The Rebbe said they should charge $1, not more, $1 for each child, and they should write this letter. And immediately that started to be. I remember I was then 14 years old. I was writing over Bar Mitzvah. I felt bad. How can I cannot be part of this thing? And it's only till Bar Mitzvah, 13 years old. But it didn't. That disappointment didn't last for long, because later, I think it was about 6 months later, the Rebbe said how this campaign was so successful, and therefore the Rebbe said we should continue this campaign with adults as well. So there was separate Torahs written for the children, and this is they wrote until now. They wrote already 8 Torahs from 1981 till today. 8 Torahs was written in heaven. Of course, every letter was sold to a different child. We have in the Torah, we have like 304,000 something like letters in the Torah, and it was all of the Torahs were written in Jerusalem. I remember the first Chnosa Sefer Torah was such a beautiful big event, and in Yerushalayim, by the Kotel HaMaravi, by the Western Wall, and all the Torahs was placed in the Lubavitch synagogue, the Tzemach Tzedek synagogue in Yerushalayim, which is very close in the old city, next to not far from the Western Wall. And the last one was done, I think this last year, they did the 8th one, and they continue now in the 9th one. So later on, the Rebbe also said we should write a Torah scroll for all adults, that every Jew should purchase a letter in the Torah. Later on I'm gonna give the links. I'm gonna show the links for how we can do it today. And we can go online and purchase this letter. And the Rebbe explained how this is a mitzvah that unites us all. But this is also it is also something that fulfilling that mitzvah that we just said, you're fulfilling the mitzvah by being part of the community and being called up to the Torah, but in order to fulfill it also in an actual way, in action, you actually purchase a letter in a communal Torah, not just being passively part of it, but being actively part of it. That makes this mitzvah to fulfill in a greater way. What is interesting is the Rebbe points out that this mitzvah is the very last mitzvah in the Torah, which means it is the very last mitzvah that we will do in order to usher us into the era of Mashiach. That's how amazing it is what the Rebbe came out with this campaign. And that was, by the way, adopted by so many Gedolei Yisrael, the people from all folks of the Jewish communities. They all participated in it. They bought and their own letters for them, for the children, for the families. And so this is, and this is also written by, it's interesting, by the Ben Ish Chai. He writes also the fact that the first is connected with the last. The first mitzvah of multiplying, connected with the last mitzvah, writing the Torah. This will be in the time of Mashiach. So let's see inside. So here's the Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Yosef Chaim of Baghdad. He writes, in the liturgy for the Shabbos and festival Musaf, the Musaf prayer, we say, I have redeemed you at the end as in the beginning. We sing it by Musaf, I have redeemed you at the end like in the beginning. So write the Ben Ish Chai as follows. This means that the future redemption will come by carrying out the final mitzvah to write a Torah scroll, as well as the first mitzvah to have children. Those are the mitzvahs that will bring Mashiach. That's what the Ben Ish Chai writes. So as the final mitzvah in the Torah, this mitzvah is uniquely situated to hasten Mashiach's arrival, which is the final chapter in our collective story, the coming of Mashiach. And this is in the Rebbe's words. The Rebbe writes as follows: the mitzvah to write a Torah scroll is the conclusion of all 613 mitzvahs. So when all Jews will have their own personal letter in a Torah scroll, we will speedily merit the conclusion of this exile, a redemption in which every Jew will be liberated with the coming of Mashiach. It's interesting also, I remember the Rebbe writing also about the mitzvah of writing the Torah, buying the letter in the Torah. The Rebbe spoke about a prophecy that it says in Daniel. In Daniel, it says a prophecy, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, it talks about the days of Mashiach. Before Mashiach, there will be difficult days. And it says that the people that will be found in the book will be spared. And the Rebbe said that people will be found in the book. They will be spared from the difficulties of the time of Mashiach. So the Rebbe also connected with that. This was in the time, I remember the first Lebanon war. Now we're in the midst of the war with Lebanon. This was in 1982, with the first Lebanon war. And that's when the Rebbe spoke about it, how it's important. We should all unite together, getting the soldiers, getting everyone to purchase a letter in this general Torah. In addition to that, the Rebbe explains, purchasing a letter in the Torah, this also unites us all. It is the effect of the unity. Just like the Torah has, like we said, 304,000, about, I don't know the exact number, but more or less. Although it says, it does say that the word Yisrael is Yesh Shishim Ribu Otiyot LaTorah. The abbreviations of these letters, Yud Shin Reish Aleph Lamed, is Yesh Shishim Ribu Otiyot LaTorah, which means there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. But of course, we count the letters, it's about 300,000. So they say that also the spaces between the letters is also considered a letter. You read between the lines, between the letters. But in any case, the letters of the Torah also represent each individual Jew. Every letter, and if you have a Sefer Torah, full Sefer Torah, but one letter is missing, the Torah is disqualified. If it's erased. And not only that, every letter cannot touch the other letter. Every letter has to be individual. That means just like what this teaches us, that every Jew has a unique mission in this world. The mission that God gave you didn't give to somebody else. And yet we are all equally worth and important in the Torah. If one letter is missing, doesn't matter the top or the bottom. The most important part of the Torah or simple verses, every word is holy. The Torah is what unites us all together. And here in the words of the Rebbe, every mitzvah in the Torah achieves unity among the Jewish people. Still, this campaign of communal Torah scrolls achieves a superior form of unity. For it brings Jews together through the act of writing a Torah scroll and bequeathing a unique letter to each Jew, as we'll explain. But first, let's explore, says the Rebbe, the idea that the Torah is what possesses the power to unite the Jewish people. When a Jew is told that he or she must unite with every other Jew, from the heads of the tribes to the wood hewers and water drawers, one cannot help but ask, how is this even possible? The gap between heads of tribes and wood hewers and water drawers is quite extreme. So how is it possible to unite with both a head of tribe and wood hewer and water drawers? We're talking about the greatest Jew with the simple people. They are polar opposites. Says the Rebbe, the answer is that only the infinite Torah has the power to unite all Jewish people from heads of tribes to wood hewers and water drawers, despite the vast distance between them. This helps us understand just how great is the unity achieved through a tangible action. There are many other practical mitzvahs that achieve the same result, but there is a unique quality to the unity achieved through every Jew purchasing a letter in the Torah scroll. For as just explained, the entire notion of unity among Jews is achieved only through the power of Torah. So here's the link to be able to purchase a letter both for adults, the first link, and the children to Torah, the second link. I'll put the link also in the description so you can click on it. Now, just to conclude with a story, I think I once told the story. There was Rabbi Shmuel Levittin, was an elderly chassid, and he came here to America with the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And the previous Rebbe, sent him to Chicago to bring warmth and inspiration to the Jewish community there. So before he left back to New York, the Rebbe asked Rabbi Levittin to pay a personal visit to a Jew by the name Mr. Listener. He was a wealthy Jewish businessman, and he was a descendant from Hasidim. And the Rebbe asked him to visit him personally. So Rabbi Levittin was there together with Rabbi Yosef Weinberger, alav shalom, and together the Rabbi Weinberger arranged for him a meeting with this Mr. Listener. And they sat in his office. He was very happy to see them, and he spoke, and they have a nice conversation. Told the man the personal regards from the Lubavitcher Rebbe and so on. He was very, very impressed. And then before they're about to leave, he takes out a checkbook. He says, "Okay, who do I write out the check to?" So Rabbi Levitin said, "I didn't come for a check. I didn't come for a donation. I came to bring some Yiddishkeit, bring some warmth, and regards from the Rebbe and so on. Even if you're going to give me a check, I'm not going to take it." So I was really impressed with this. And he says, "But so Rabbi, why did you come here for? What's the purpose? All the way if you're schlepping from New York just to give, to say a few words, what's the point?" So Rabbi Levitin told him, in the old shtetl, in the old country, there were Jewish communities. Every Jewish community had a Torah. And the Torah had needs from time to time to be checked. You need to have a scribe, special scribe, to travel between the villages, the Jewish communities, to check the Torah, because sometimes there are letters in the Torah that are being erased. We need to fix them. So this is what I'm doing, he says. I'm like the scribe that I'm sent to the communities and to check the Torahs. He said every Jew is like a Torah. And every Torah has full of mitzvahs, and sometimes part of it is a little erased. And I'm coming here to refresh, to strengthen the connection, like to fix the letters. And he was very impressed with this analogy. And when he came back to New York, he told the previous Rebbe what happened, what transpired. And the Rebbe told him that he wants to correct his analogy. His analogy is a nice analogy, but he wants to correct a little bit. He says, and the Rebbe said that a Jew is not like a letter in the Torah. Because a letter in the Torah and the letter are two separate things. The ink and the parchment is two separate things, and you put two things and to connect them. A Jew is not a separate thing from the Torah. A Jew is like a letter engraved. And a letter that is engraved can never be erased. The only thing is sometimes there could be dust gathering that covers the letters. All the scribe needs to do, the shaliach needs to do, is to take away some of the dust, and the letter shines. That's how the Frierdiker Rebbe explained what is the real analogy. So this is the bottom line, is how it is so special. The Torah, it is so special to have this last mitzvah that we should all purchase a letter in the Torah, and that helps us, first of all, to unite together, to participate in that special last mitzvah of the Torah. It helps us to be saved from the troubles of the end of the exile, and it helps us together to unite, and that this mitzvah should lead us to the ultimate fulfilling of the Torah and the coming of Mashiach. Let us hope it happens very soon. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're very welcome, David. All the best. Any comments or questions?